Quick Snap is presented by FW Web, dependable solutions for the pros since 1866.
All right, welcome back. Episode 16. 16, yes. Right?
That's
Episode
right.
16.
First one covering a loss in a long time.
A long time. And I think this is going to be an interesting one because our notes from the game feel like a freaking book report you do for like AP English in your senior year. So, look.
You in AP English, David?
No, I never took APs.
Yeah, that's okay.
Why take APs? You're going to have to take college anyway. Just do it at college.
Take college. All right, give us your notes.
All right.
You start.
All right. So, look, my gut reaction, it was a complete team failure. And I look at that, and by saying that, all three phases of the team let you down. And I know I've always said, you all share in defeat and you all share in loss, right? But sometimes, you look at it, you're like, oh, well, they played whatever. This was a complete failure from special teams to offense to defense. There was not one area that played a full 60 minutes good enough to win you a football game on Sunday. First, probably one of the best teams in the AFC.
Is that it?
I was going to see what you wanted to say about it.
Are you going full Boston media, sky is falling, doom and gloom?
No, I'm not sky is falling, but I'm not going to sit here and say.
Can we just talk about maybe how you felt at halftime? Because I think
How I felt at halftime?
Yes. Because I was there. I know you weren't there. I was there, and I was like, holy shit. Like, they came to play. The offense is rolling.
Dude, they played. That first half was the best 30 minutes of football that team's played all year.
But so this is my point. I felt that way, and then when I watched the tape, I actually thought defensively, the first play of the game, Brandon Cooks bobbles a pass. It's going to be a 40-yard pass down the field.
Yeah.
Like, there was some, let's call it luck involved in stopping them in the first half.
Luck.
They were able to sack Josh Allen, as you mentioned in your notes, twice in the first half. They couldn't get him in the second half. One of those pushed them out of field goal range, forced them to punt. So there was little breadcrumbs in the first half, especially defensively, that led me to believe, watching the film, like what happened in the second half wasn't by chance. Okay, it wasn't some rah-rah speech that Buffalo went in and pumped themselves up. They scored before the half. Right? When it came to the Patriots offense, I just thought the play calling, the aggressiveness, what did we talk about with Josh last week? If you could add a little something, how did they score their first two touchdowns? Design runs for Drake May. I was like, man, this is what I wanted to see them come out of the bye and do, right? And so all of those positives, you come out in the second half, Buffalo drives the ball down again and scores. Okay, the first offensive play, Bradbury gets beat up the middle of the backfield. It's a negative run. Yep. I see people out there, why didn't they go to play action? The second play of the second half for the offense was a boot. Yeah. What's Bosa do? Shoves Hunter back up into Drake. He can't get everything on the throw. It's a 3-yard gain. If he's able to get around the edge, Diggs catches it, maybe you get the first down, you start moving. You don't convert that third down. Buffalo gets the ball back, they score again. I mean, the offense only had 19 plays in the second half, and a big part of that is because they couldn't execute. I don't think it was the game plan changed. I thought it was a lack of execution. There was some routes where I saw guys where I haven't seen all year, where they're standing in the same spot. We haven't seen that from this offense, and so to me, it was a lack of execution, and also, as you and I both say, the other team gets a vote too. And Buffalo, there's a reason that the other quarterback is the reigning MVP. He's a unicorn, right? We talked about our keys last week. What were the keys of the game? Stop Josh Allen.
Contain Josh Allen.
They couldn't do that. Stop James Cook.
Nope.
He ran for almost 5 yards a carry, 100 yards.
And protect the ball.
And look, as a quarterback, I would like to say that interception was meaningless.
It's a wash.
It was like a punt. But that was a turnover. So they weren't able to do those three keys. And as you and I both know, when we would sit there in that team meeting and Bill would present the three keys of the game, if you did only one of the three, you probably lost the game. If you didn't do three of the three, you're going to lose the game. So it's disappointing, especially the way they came out. Yeah. I was like, man, they're for real. This is it.
Yeah.
And
I was seriously going to book my tickets.
and I don't think people should be afraid not to. I think the Bills, they've had a wonky year, right?
Yeah.
Especially with the expectations they had. And I think because the Patriots beat them early, I think everybody kind of were like, all right, they're not as big of a threat. With Josh Allen as the quarterback, they're always a threat. And so to me, and Danny and you and I got into a big tizzy yesterday.
Hold on. First of all,
you weren't involved. You were on the radio.
I'm working.
How many text messages did you?
I'm working. I think my wife is like calling me because it's vibrating so much, and I'm like, dude, so I during the break I look at I had 118 text messages. What the hell? How am I supposed to even join the conversation at that point?
It was too late.
Look, here's my point as a fan. And yes, Brian, you're going to Ryan Clark me. I don't watch the film.
Ryan Clark?
I was at the game, but I'm a fan, right?
How many drinks did you have?
Not enough.
8 beers.
Not enough.
But my perspective as a fan was that it was one of the best first halves of football I've ever seen the Pats play. Like you said, Mike Vrabel had this football team ready to play. But they came out of that second half complacent.
So you think Mike Vrabel didn't have him ready to play in the second half?
I don't know if it's Mike's fault.
You think he had him ready to play in the first half, but not the second half?
I don't know if it was Mike's fault or the players' mentality, but it slipped a little bit and their guard was down. David called me on the way down to the game, and he said they need to play with reckless abandon today, and I did not see that in the second half. And some stats, too, the last 4 games. First half, we averaged 21.3 points. In the second half, we averaged 8.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, look.
But I want to ask you the why. That's where, to me,
That's
the
cat. Well,
they were complacent. Well, I wrote these notes. I didn't see. To me, complacency is. One, not playing hard. I saw them play hard, okay? Woodson coming out of the middle of the field in the second half to drill the running back to stop him from...
there's a difference between hard and urgency.
Drake May running faster than any quarterback has run the entire year to block David's... I said, text David, I said, I think he's running about as fast as Travion. You said, no way. Travion hit 21.2 miles an hour and Drake was 20.6. The effort was there. The execution was not there, okay?
This is what I will say in regard to that. You are taking complacency as just an effort thing.
Right. That's how I take it.
Yes. I think you can say, and I think you guys are both right. I agree with you. That team did not quit.
No.
They did not
and they
lay
didn't
down.
Come out timid either.
No, they did not lay down. But in saying that, you can also play complacent with, like Danny said, a sense of urgency, execution, right? Because
the execution part.
You start losing that middle edge just a little bit. It's human.
Just a little.
It is human nature, right, to let your foot off of gas sometimes. And look, and this is my thing with this team right now. This is not a winning culture yet. This is 6 months of Mike Vrabel at the helm of this ship. They are. What they are doing this year is unbelievable so far, and they are well above where we all thought they would be, and I believe they're well above to establishing what this winning culture is for this team. But that takes time to learn, right? And you look at, let's say, the start of this dynasty, right, in 01, right? There was guys on this team, McGinnis, Bruschi, Law, Malloy, that team had been, a lot of those guys had been to Troy Brown, had been to a Super Bowl.
Sure.
They knew what winning was. Yeah, they didn't go from 06 to 01, but they knew how to win. They had some type of culture.
Great point.
And then Bill came in and really took that culture to the next level, per se, right? That's what I believe. And so Mike's trying to do that right now. But there's a lot of guys on this team that don't know what that looks like. And so I hate the stats about the fourth quarter stats. I'm just not a stats guy. But in saying that, when you look at these stats, they're 30th in the league in fourth quarter scoring. So I don't know if that's play calling. I believe more. You want to talk about play calling this week? As an offensive coordinator, when you only get to run 19 plays, what do you you can't call anything.
Right. I mean, and the one good drive that they had in the second half, how did it end? Penalties.
This is going to bring me to my next point. I think when I think of complacency, sometimes, yes, you were right, the effort. That team played with good effort. They did not quit. If they quit and laid down, it could have been a lot worse. But when I look at this game, I think on Danny's point, complacency, I think of execution and that middle type complacency, right? And what that leads to, in my opinion, one is penalties. To me, we talked about the turnovers, right? We said we can't give anything to Buffalo. Well, they didn't give anything to him on the turnover. We talked about the punt and interception, but you gave them to him with the penalties. So these are my notes. A second quarter, they had the face mask that gives Buffalo a short field on the kickoff return.
Yes.
Buffalo, I think, had maybe 3 drives that started at the 50 on their side of the field.
Yep.
You can't do that with Josh Allen.
No.
You might as well give it to him.
Right.
So you had that penalty. Third quarter, you had defensive holding in the red area on 3rd and 5, right? That was extends the drive. James Cook when he floated.
Was it to Knox after that, right?
No, that was James Cook's touchdown.
Okay.
Then and we kind of talked about this, last week or 2 weeks ago with the Giants, right? When they hit Jackson Dart. We said they did a great job on discipline, didn't get a penalty.
The composure.
Well, Mondre starts off the drive on the 7-play drive, which was their best drive of the second half.
Yep.
And he goes out of bounds. Milano gets a penalty, and Mondre gets a penalty now.
Yeah,
so
he's lucky it was offsetting.
He's lucky it's offsetting. So you might say it doesn't matter, but that's an extra 15 yards you could have had. You had 3rd and 10 on that drive, false start.
Mm-hmm. So now it's 3rd and 15.
3rd and 15. 3rd and 15, you get a play, right? You hit Hunter Henry.
Yep.
I think it was like the 37, so you're in field goal range.
Yeah, what's that? What do we call that when you're trying to get in the range of a field goal?
Are we going to say that, or I'm not?
Oh, okay. All right. We can keep that. But
that's in-house, dog.
That's in-house. All right, that's fine.
So,
but I guess to your point, they're setting themselves up to either kick a field goal or
go for it. I wouldn't have been surprised.
Yeah, if they went for it.
I think it would have been 4th and 4.
Yep.
The way this team's done on 4th down, the way Vrabel's called games, I could have saw him going for it. But they get the holding penalty.
Right.
So now that sets up
27.
Yeah, that sets up the pick. You had the Marcus Jones INT pick. Like, I don't understand this ruling. That play to me, if you want to complain or be upset about the penalties, that would be one, because
that was the one. The other ones I was okay with.
Carlton Davis.
That was a hold. You talking about the one going towards the lighthouse?
No, the one in the other. Other zone.
But what on the broadcast, I thought it was late too. J.J. Watt said you could see the ref trying. He couldn't get it out.
Get his flag out.
That's what J.J. said on the broadcast.
Look, I'm not going to sit here and I don't like.
But Marcus Jones' play.
Yeah.
And which that one. There's talking points to talk about, but it is what it is. Then you had the 4th quarter, 3rd and 4 again. You had the DPI, another touchdown.
Right, and I do want to point this out. Josh Allen runs the ball in for a touchdown. Buffalo gets called for a holding penalty. They get moved back. And when you talk about the lack of discipline, or if you want to put that in the complacent category, a few plays later, there's no edge on the right side of the offense. Josh Allen moves to his right with nobody in his view and throws a touchdown pass. And so to me, in the first half, they did a much better job of containing rushing him. And on one, which would be a critical play right there in the, I guess that was still the 3rd quarter.
I wrote it down.
Or the 4th quarter.
Wrote down, and that was 4th quarter at 10-10.
And they don't contain him. The edge is pushed down. He freely moves out to the right, which we all know. For him, it doesn't matter if you give him left or right, but if you give him to the right, he's probably going to make something happen. It leads to a touchdown. So to me, there was a little bit of that lack of discipline and maybe the competitive stamina to do it the right way.
Well, and you mentioned it on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
About some of the routes and people
especially on that last drive when I watch some of the routes that are being run, there's some guys in the same spots which kind of
go into that.
Yeah, and when you talk about pass concept and spacing, there's typically, especially for me knowing the system, I see a lot of the plays and I understand what it's supposed to be. And even like on the last play where the ball gets tipped by Bosa. There's just not great spacing. And honestly, I didn't see a lot of guys open. And the one thing that I noticed, and look, I haven't done a lot of Buffalo Bills defensive breakdown, but from having played against McDermott and those guys a lot, they were predominantly usually a heavy zone team.
Yes.
The one thing that they did, and maybe this was a in-game adjustment just for this Patriots team, they played a lot of man and a lot of two-man, which is dangerous with Drake May because in two-man you have 2 high safeties and everybody playing inside leverage. Well, the Patriots are a heavy inside passing team and a heavy down-the-field passing team. So with two-man, you eliminate a lot of those routes. The one thing that you don't eliminate is the ability for Drake May to run the football. They spied him one time, and Diggs was able to beat leverage against Taron Johnson. He got that little crossing route for a first down. So the spy didn't really come up. And then there was one play against two-man where Drake ran the ball for a first down. But for the most part, that two-man philosophy really worked in stopping some of them. The one that they actually had the right play call for that coverage was the ball where Drake throws it a little bit behind Hunter. He's going out towards the Patriots sideline. It goes through his hands. And so, that's what I texted you. That's where you need those two guys. They got to come up with the play in a game like that.
Yeah, and look, you could say that play, right? It wasn't a great throw. Hard ball to catch, but in those moments, you need your two best and dependable guys.
There's no one that you and I love more for that offense than those two guys, but that's just the reality.
In that situation, that's who I want the ball to go to.
Exactly.
One thing I think, another play that I've kind of seen floating around on Twitter, and I actually had texted you about it. I don't want you to say the play call, but it was the one where he, in my mind, checked it down to Henderson, and Booty was coming. It was a crucial third down late in the game, and I texted you hey, what is going on here? That's why I love doing this show with you, because I think a lot of times I watch at it, right, and I don't know the quarterback's reads. I didn't sit in those meetings. I can tell you how to block the thing now. And I'm pretty good at that.
Right. That's why it's good to have both takes.
But I texted you that, and you said, well, actually, with this play call, that was the right read. But then you kind of said a little bit more, because Booty, is open on the crossing pattern. And so what did you think about that? What did you see there?
Yeah, I mean, look, to me, this is all the vibe around, or all the chatter around right now, progression-based reads versus coverage-based reads.
I don't even know what that means.
Right, and so I think Phil Perry and I are going to get into that a little bit later this week. But it was a very, let's call it, bread and butter play that we've all who've played have been used to.
I was like, yeah, I love that play.
Yeah, and the first part of the read is, do they take the running back away? And on that play in particular, I would say they didn't take him away. But when you start to get to the next level, and we had Josh in here last week of climbing that mountain, you start to run that play enough, you start to feel, the back's there, but I also from distance feel that linebacker starting to take him, and that opens up the window behind him. So technically, Drake's not wrong. But then if, let's just say, for instance, the same play comes up and the pass rush is a little bit better, and all of a sudden he's waiting for that guy to come open. So it's damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Course, because it always is.
To me, as a quarterback, and I'm sure as an offensive lineman, you would appreciate this, I want to be getting the ball out as fast as I can to the first guy who's open, right? How many times did you hear Tom Brady say, hey, boys, it's coming out quick tonight?
That was a very erotic feeling. Playing a lot.
I love that description. But I guess to me is, you don't want to coach him and say, okay, number one's open, but if you have the time to throw it and you start to feel this, you kind of get in the weeds a little bit of, the guy's been doing it so well this year that I don't want to overcomplicate it or overcoach it. But I think naturally what will happen is he'll feel the rush. He'll feel the linebackers start to take the back, and now boom, the crossing route is open behind him.
I have a question, and I'm not saying I agree with this, but since we are in the media, we got to do our job. The fans want to hear it. People want to talk about the cold weather. Can Drake play in the cold weather? I don't think that's an issue. He's a big body, big athlete.
Was Felger and Mass talking about hand size yesterday? Did that come up? Does anyone know?
I did not listen.
I don't listen to that.
Yeah, but
me neither.
But the cold weather,
I don't think so. I mean, the reality was, to me, the way I looked at it, he almost didn't really have to throw the ball in the first half because they were running it so well. He made a beautiful throw on the sideline to Booty. I would say, if anything, the weather was worse in the first half than it was in the second half. I don't think that this is an issue whatsoever. And honestly, you talk about controversial calls. There was one in the second half where they could have easily called pass interference on the Buffalo Bills. I mean, the guy's hand is over Mac Hollins' face, and the ball is hitting Mac in the hands, a deep pass. So I don't
BS.
Yeah, I don't think that. I mean, look, until he plays in an absolute blizzard and wins a game, I think people are going to question it because he's from North Carolina.
Can he win? Can he win in the fourth quarter? That's going to be the narrative until it changes. And look, is it fair? No, but as a player, like, that is what it is.
Yeah.
And it's part of doing this job and being a NFL player. And the only thing that you can do about it is control what you can control and then go change it. Like, people are going to have opinions about you no matter what. You know, you can't change them. Everybody's got opinions. You know, they're all like, I don't know if I should say that.
You can say it. It's a podcast. Go ahead.
Right.
Talk.
Everybody's got an opinion. They're all like buttholes. They all stink.
That's right.
It could have been way worse, David.
I made it PG.
I just think, like, to me, it was such an it was like a tale of two halves, right? You and I were saying it before we started the show. Like, it was almost like the teams flip-flopped from the first half to the second half, and ultimately it was going to come down to really who scored last.
Who had the ball,
right? And so I'm not going to sit here and lie to you that I was like, all right, they got the ball back. This is going to be Drake May's, like, Tom Brady moment, right, on that drive. And there wasn't enough separation in some of the routes. There was one where they played zone, and I think Hunter went to settle, but I think if he keeps going, he pulls the will, and then Drake's waiting for the in cut behind him. So just some of that was, you know, we haven't seen them do in a long time. But I think you brought up a great point. Like, this culture is still coming together. Yeah. They're still learning how to win those close games. And I would say, is it a disappointment, especially with the way they started? Yes, of course. They didn't go out there and get trounced by the Buffalo Bills. Now,
I think what makes this frustrating is because of, I think if they had gone out there and lost 17 to, what did the Bills, 34 or whatever it was, like, you're coming in here and you're like, man, they were just bad. Like, you saw you just dominate a football team, and then just
I blame it on Danny because of his shit talking to Brian Sung in our group message, saying, "Hey, do you want to?"
That's what I do for.
And hey, do you want to go hang out at David's house? It's warmer there.
No,
than
I
it is in
said
the
that. That was
you. Okay.
I invited Brian over because I felt bad that he was having to sit there and watch his team get their ass kicked in the first half.
Look, happy for Sung. Bills won fair and square, and I want to round out my thought on complacency. I think it just had a little bit to do with all the things you listed, Horror, with the tendencies, not finishing routes, separation, just a little bit. Sense of urgency was not there in the second half. I'm not like sky is falling Boston sports media guy over here thinking that we're not going to make a playoff run. I still think we can. On the calendar before the season, I had the Bills as both of a loss. We had a 10-game win streak. We're in a great spot. We're going to win this division.
You're right.
I feel fine.
This is like the positive thing we need to look. All right, first place is out of probably the option right now.
First seed, you mean?
First seed, yes.
Yes.
Playoff
take
first
the
seed.
Broncos to maybe go 0-3.
Let's be honest here. It was out of reach to begin with. You had no control to get first seed. You had to have the Broncos lose.
Sure.
So it wasn't like you lost first seed.
Go ahead.
You didn't control that because of what had already happened throughout the year. But now the good thing is, look, this division still goes through New England, right? And if this team is a division champion this year, I don't know how anybody had them picked to do that.
Can I give a wild take?
Yeah.
At this point, I'd rather be a wild card.
Why?
Because I'm looking, at least at the bracket that I sent, that was if everything remains the same, you're going to have to play Houston, most likely Buffalo, and then Denver to get to the Super Bowl, as opposed to
Steelers.
like in a weird way.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like one of those things, and you know, this
happens sometimes.
It happens, and I'm just and I've sat here and said, like, that's a disrespect to other NFL teams, but I'm just looking at the path that they will have to go to now.
To me, it doesn't change, though. I still think this team.
Would you not rather be the one seed and play the winner of? I think it'd be the winner of, like, L.A. and Pittsburgh. Is that right?
Right now, I think that's the matchup.
To me.
Yeah, or would you rather be playing Houston round 1 and then playing the winner of Buffalo and Jacksonville round 2, and then playing most likely Denver in the AFC Championship?
I think this team can compete with anyone. If they play good, they can compete with anyone.
I agree with you.
You know, but I think what you saw on Sunday, right, that if you want to talk about schedule that maybe you didn't see, when you play playoff winning football teams, your margin of error goes from
100%.
This to that.
Yep.
And that's what you saw Sunday. You know, you've gotten away with some stuff the last few weeks because the other teams aren't good enough.
Yeah.
And that's just the truth.
And I do want to.
But you still played good enough to win in those games.
One thing that I want to talk about before we keep, like, moving on this route of, like, playoff and all that stuff was I think they missed Robert Spillane on Sunday.
They missed Spillane. They've been missing Milt Williams.
The strength, the middle of that defense. And Gibbons played his butt off. A lot of good plays, but Spill just brings a level of like physicality and
Milton is a game breaker.
Exactly. And so that'll be good to get those guys back. Obviously, hopefully, I thought Jarrett Wilson played good.
Yeah, look, I'll say this. I was, again, I don't know how Danny watches any of the game for how many text messages he sends during the game. But
if you combine text messages and beers, how
is he actually watching the game? But I would say this. I think I might have texted y'all, I know who my dependable player of the game is.
I know, but I guessed and you said no.
I was giving it to the O-line, man.
Okay.
I was fired up for these guys.
Run game?
Yes, I was fired up for these guys, man. They went out there, and look, I'll say this: the second Henderson touchdown, that was an unreal effort by Henderson and Drake May. That was not a well blocked play.
Can I ask Danny a question? Do you still want Scadaboo over Travion Henderson?
No.
It just took some time, dude. It just took some time.
Yes.
I do want to say this, along with what you're saying, the offensive line. I think his patience
has gotten so much better.
Like they ran
he's seeing the game develop now.
The jab bend play that we used to run, and I thought the patience he had to let the puller get in there and then kind of draw. I always thought there was an art, and this was what was so great about our offensive meetings was they would show other positions doing things well, and I thought there was an art to a running back of setting up your blocks. And I think he's starting to get that.
I mean, that was kind of my biggest gripe with him.
Yeah.
Is, he
wanted to hit everything hard.
Yeah.
You
don't have to, buddy, because when you do,
you're gone.
It's the same thing. That play, his first touchdown run, an unreal job by Munford, the jumbo tight end, Moses on the double team, Hooper on the edge, Jared Wilson had a great pull. You had Big Mike Penn. The nose tackle, Bradbury gets up to the second level. I mean, it was a great block play. But again, it kind of goes back to that Tampa touchdown. If he gets through there, it don't matter. The safety don't have an angle on this joker.
Yeah. This is what I wrote right here. Jab bend for the big TD run. Great execution. This is what I thought was pretty interesting. 13 jumbo personnel. You talk about Mumford getting there. What does that do to Buffalo's defense? Which
they don't like to get in base.
But what they get in base defense, which they hate to do. They'd rather play with Taron Johnson as the third linebacker. It's a huge and his patience, like you just mentioned, it shows where he's gotten to, and I feel really good about him going forward.
They were great running the football, and it wasn't like Drake had. I mean, he had good runs, but it wasn't like he carried the load.
No.
So it was encouraging to see the O-line play because I think that's a huge asset. Look, this is kind of my last thoughts on this game. Vrabel's post-game I don't know if it's press conference or locker room, right? Or someone said it. He's like, this is only a loss if we don't learn lessons.
Sure.
And that's true. The one thing I do think, and Danny, this might be complacency in your mind, right? It is easy sometimes, right, Hoy, when you're having success, right? And look, I don't know what these coaches are like. I know the coaches that I played for you, and they were on our ass 24/7, right? And when you're winning, sometimes it goes in one ear and out the other because you're like, I got it, right? Sure. I'm having success. We're doing good. And sometimes those corrections, or look, if they think the urgency in practices aren't good, whatever it is, I don't know what it's like. I'm not there, obviously. You're not either. Yep. We don't know. But sometimes you can get, it is human nature to get complacent. And so sometimes, whether that's learning from mistakes that happen after a win, sometimes in practice you just become, oh, we got it, I got it, we're good. This is a game, and I never think it's good to lose, but like Mike said, it's only a loss if you don't learn lessons from this. And there's a lot of lessons to learn. There's a lot of stuff to get coached on. So this team, they still control their own destiny. The season's not over. You have a great opportunity coming up. 3 more games this year. You still end this year on a high note. Take what you've learned from this week and move it forward. And we'll get into Baltimore and what we think about that coming up. But, that's really, what I think about this game.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think, if anything, I'm sure they're sitting there on Monday saying, we lost this game more than they won it.
Yeah.
and that's a good feeling to have, to be able
It's
to.
shitty, but good
It's
feeling.
shitty, but I think it's like you said, to Mike's point, if they can learn the lessons from this game, because I think they're going to play this team again. And as you and I both know, that third game, when you play a team a third time, could be a toss-up, right? You've seen each other. I think now they've both kind of shown their hands, so to speak.
All the cards are on the table.
Yeah, like, okay, you go play Buffalo again. Offensively, we got to be ready for some two-man coverage. What are we going to do? Drake, when you see this, you might have to signal something. You might have to do something. Now, they've also seen, I like that Josh kind of added the quarterback runs, but they've seen it now too, so they're going to prepare for it. So not to get ahead of ourselves, they got a huge game. It's got moved to primetime Sunday Night Football against the Ravens. And right now we're going to bring in a special guest, a teammate of both David and I from years past, a guy who has worked his way up to be a captain. It's been awesome to watch his career really get to the point where he's at. Whenever the ball's in his hands, he's electric. Punt returner, nickel, defensive back, and maybe, if we ask him, a potential offensive weapon, Marcus Jones.
Marcus, thanks for coming on, man. We appreciate it. How we doing? How's everybody doing? Got a Tuesday off day, big week coming up. Obviously Sunday is what it is, but how's it going?
It's going good, man. I will say, everyone came in, got the corrections and everything, and then also we've been in this point before of losing the game, so we know what we need to do to get back on schedule.
Yeah, Marcus, thanks for being here with us. I mean, for me to watch you grow, I was obviously here when you were a rookie, and just to see the work you've put in and obviously the electricity that you bring. Anytime the ball is in your hands, we're always watching, like, what's he going to do with it? And I think it was so great to see you get that contract extension this year, because I looked at a guy who's worked his butt off to get where you've been, obviously contributing on special teams, but, you picked 6 a few weeks ago in Cincinnati. What has that meant to you to really, especially with the new regime in here? You've had a lot of turnover in your career. They come in and they reward you with this contract, which when the news broke, David and I said, couldn't be more of a deserving guy for them to invest in, and you've proven them right, all season long.
Yeah, man, I would say it was definitely a blessing. When I first ended up getting drafted here and coming in and, learning my role, waiting my turn, man, and then just taking it day by day, literally what I was doing. Learned a lot from the vets, you guys and everything in the building, learning how to, come in, day out and apply things. And then as time went on, man, my main thing was just like, I want to prove to, the world and also this organization that I definitely want to be here. Whether it's, all the stuff that we do on the field, but then also off the field as well, being involved in as many things as I can be. And then just being mentors to the other guys that's on the team. It was an accomplishment for being a team captain this year and everything. So I've always been a guy that lead by example, but now I'm talking way more, and the guys, trust me with what we have going on.
Yeah, man, you kind of mentioned it right there. Obviously, first-year captain for you. Congratulations, man. I remember when, I was a first-year captain, how much it was probably one of the biggest honors of my career, because it's the guys in the locker room that really decide that, and in watching you and your career and how it's gone for you, there's no one more deserving. Like Hoy said, it's just been awesome to see. But talk a little bit about this team and, these captains, right? It was a big influx of guys outside the team coming in, right? How have you guys taken ownership of this team as leaders and kind of made this culture, your New England Patriots?
Yeah, most people, they talk about all the stuff that happened in the past, but every year is different. You guys understand that. And we've had guys come in, setting the standard. Rave's always talked about it. And then us as individuals, you have to end up knowing the details, knowing the playbook. We had new coaches come in and everything, and then just apply each day of like making plays, knowing what to do. And as that go on, the guys in your room will trust you way more. And whenever we have that going on, and then having our best players play the best is very pivotal when it comes down to being in the National Football League. So, captains, we always speak. We have captain meetings and everything, and we check in on our room 24/7, whether it's the high or the lows.
Yeah, I mean, they're lucky to have you as a leader, Marcus. You've learned from a lot of great players. I've seen you progress. I was still on the team when you had your offensive touchdown. So the first part of this question is, do you ever get that itch? Hey, Josh, we had Josh in here as our guest last week. Like when you pass him in the hallway, do you ever say like, hey, I'm ready when you need me? Okay, that's the first part. Secondly, playing the nickel position is so unique to me, right? Because you're asked to do so many things. You have to be involved in the running game. You have to obviously be involved in the passing game. We've seen you sack the quarterback. You're really probably the most versatile defensive back out there. Just talk about what that takes from you as a player. And then, we were kind of saying you play defense and then all of a sudden it's punt and you got to go back and return the punt. So you're out there for all those plays. You're not an offensive guy returning. Talk about what that role has been for you and how you've really embraced it. Because in my opinion, Marcus, and I'm not just saying this because I know you've become one of the elite top nickel corners in the league. And that's asking a big role for a guy because you don't always know what the play call is going to be. Am I blitzing? Am I stopping the run? Am I covering? Just tell people about that type of role and how you've embraced it.
Yeah, man. First off, I always let Josh know, whatever helps the team. You guys know me, 24/7.
Right.
I'm down for it. And then also, the nickel position is definitely different. The people that played it and also seen it, it's very important because the quarterback's usually reading, the nickel or the safeties. We do have to fit down on the run, and then also we have to guard the quick guys in the slots. So our jobs and our role has definitely increased when it comes down to it. And then also, man, you talk about playing the defensive snaps and then going back out there to punt return. I think what's crazy about punt return as well is like I kind of have like the fearless mindset because I'm a defensive player.
Yeah.
So I'm cool with getting hit in a sense, but I'm always trying to be back there making the smartest decisions that I can.
Yeah, obviously you were at the focal point of a controversial play this week, and I just want to know, I've dealt with refs before, and I've had my differences with refs. And sometimes, they'll come up to me and be like, hey, this is why I threw the flag on you, And really, not to put you in a tough spot, but I look at that play, and I don't understand the ruling on it, for multiple reasons. One, the interception, which I thought was an interception, which was an unreal play. And then two, the penalty. I don't understand, the way these rules are played, the incentive almost is to underthrow the guy.
Oh, that's what we were taught as quarterbacks.
Yeah,
right?
Because then it's just going, was there anything said to you or what is your understanding of that rule and how to prevent it? I don't know. Well,
I'm going to defend Marcus. You look back for the football. That's to me.
Yeah, if you intercept the ball, you're making a play
right.
on the ball.
So I'm gonna as a quarterback defending a defensive back, it takes a rare case for me to do that. But you're right, David. We would be taught to underthrow the football. But what Marcus, in my opinion, did such a good job of was looking back for the football, which allowed him to catch the football. So with that, I'll let Marcus kind of give his answer.
Yeah, I would say it was definitely a bang-bang play, first off. You guys know whenever there are bang-bang plays like that, refs are put in difficult positions.
Yeah, 100%.
At the end of the day, what I could have done is turned around a little bit sooner so then it wouldn't have been, that much of a situation of the ref, thinking that, it's a pass interference or not. I mean, at the end of the day, they called it. I know whenever we did end up having it, I had it and then I didn't feel as though that he had possession. But at the end of the day, they call the call and then you got to go ahead and play the next down. So, it is what it is.
Yeah. Would they have been able to, if there wasn't a pass interference call, would you have been able to challenge the interception there?
Yeah, I think so because they end up ruling it a catch. You could, if there's no flag, therefore Vrabel could have challenged who had the possession of the football, I believe. Yeah, I'm sure we'll get in the comments whether we're right or not.
Yeah, but. I mean, look, I hate, out of all the pass interference calls there are, and I'm not talking just about our game, that one to me is, I look at it and it puts an unfair advantage on the receiver and quarterback, and it to me is a tough ruling for you guys to have to deal with. But obviously, like you're right, Marcus, you just got to go play the next play. That's the only thing you can do in those situations.
Yeah, moving on from that, I wanted to ask you, because you and I were in Germany together on behalf of the Patriots and kind of getting their flag football programs up and running. And the first thing I noticed about you had your camera out, right? You were getting your content. And then a few weeks ago for Monday Night Football, you got to do a sit down and you're asking about the cameras. And you're like, oh, that's an expensive one. Let people in a little bit to know where that passion came from. Because, like I said, you had just gotten off an overnight flight. And the first thing you were doing was getting your camera out to take some content around Dusseldorf, Germany. Talk about your passion for that a little bit.
Yeah, man. When it came down to it, like this past off season, or like probably 2 off seasons ago, I was really diving deep into cameras, videography, cinematography, recording, all of those things. Got deeper into color grading and stuff. And this season, which we talked about at the beginning of the season and everything like that, we started doing some work with kids that graduated or are still enrolled at Suffolk University, and basically just showing what I do off the field, how I get my body right, showing some stuff that's kind of like a little bit involved with the situation of on the field as well. And I just love the situation of capturing content and then putting your own style and taste into it. I've had a lot of mentors that, taught me a lot of different things when it comes down to videography. It's a lot of different things that come into it, but they shoot in a log footage and then you got to go in and color grade it. So people would end up seeing like my whole little piece that I have and be like, is that a game? I'm like, no, it's not a game.
I remember you on the computer in the like the taxi, like editing stuff. And so look, we have a producer. We're kind of phase him out. So if you ever have any extra time in the off season and you want to come in and help us with our show, I think, we have a spot for you.
Hell, Marcus could do 2 things. That'd be more than producer Danny
I know,
does.
exactly.
All he does is sit back there in the studio and not do anything.
If you can hear me, Marcus, you do not want this job right now. Trust me, it's babysitting for these 2 guys.
I don't know about that. But hey, one thing, Marcus, I was thinking about, obviously, congratulations. I know you set the record for the punt return. What's that record that he set with the punt returns?
Yeah. Danny, this is what producer Danny's
highest
for.
Punt return average in NFL history.
There we go.
Yes,
highest punt
there
return
it is.
in NFL history.
Congratulations. You are electric with the ball.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
I don't know if you guys did this, but, you might have seen it at prior training camps with Bill, right? It would be like, hey, rookie lineman, go catch the punts. I don't know if we ever did it with you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no, you did. Yeah, I remember.
It'd be like a night off, right, or whatever. So I can remember one of my earlier years, right? He's got the rookies out there. And Julian, of course, is, psychopath, but obviously another great punt returner in this organization. He's like trying to coach the O-lineman up on like how to judge the ball, right? And then I think we were dog cussing the punter because he gave him hard kicks. But there is a lot of intricacy, right, with how the spin and all these things and how you guys judge that. Go into a little bit about that, because I think it's one of the most fascinating things on what you guys are. You're not just sitting there catching the ball. There's a lot that's going on around you. How'd you learn it? And 2, what are those things you're looking for to kind of get an idea of what the ball is going to do?
Yeah, so I learned my dad, like at a young age, he was literally like just throwing the ball in the air and be like, hey, track it, and then learn how to catch it. So I did that at a young age, but like it's different from the situation of punters, depending on their right foot or left foot. Like usually their longer punts for a right foot punter is going to go left because the nose is going to turn down, and then shorter punts are going to go right. That's the nose staying up, and then it's vice versa in the other way with the left foot punter. So like their further punts goes right, and then their shorter punts go left. However, like now I'm getting a lot of over end punts, so not really like out kicking the coverage as much and everything. So over end punts are kind of like kickoff return punts.
You're talking about like it's tumbling.
Like that. Yeah.
I always found it interesting because we had Cordell Patterson in 2018, who was one of the best kickoff return guys I've ever been around, and he was absolutely electric. And I was asking him about returning punts versus kickoffs, and he's like, "Dude, it is nowhere near the same." I watched Devin Hester do both, so I was like, "Oh, well, you can do both." Like I just was like, "That's I had no idea." It is cool being in football, especially when you play a long time. You get so laser focused on what you're doing, but then you hear about other guys' issues and problems, and something that you didn't understand how hard it is to do something that seems so. I mean, you guys make it look easy, and it's like, holy crap, that's really hard to do. Hell, I never.
Well, you just heard his explanation.
Yeah,
he's talking about long punts for the righty. I mean, there's a lot that goes in, and then obviously catching it with people running at you full speed, making a miss, and then taking it to the house, which is why we always said, we were talking about when you had the return earlier this year, like there's really nothing when you're an offense getting ready to go out for the series and you watch your guy take it to the house, like how electric it is on the sideline for a punt return or a punt block. That's why they call it special teams, right? Because you got to do something special to affect the game. The Patriots are lucky to have you. The last question I have for you, because you're one of these few guys that have actually, played under Bill, played under Gerard, now with Vrabel, and David and I sit here each week and watch how this team has come together. Just talk about what his influence on the culture has been. Obviously, he was a great player here. He's had head coaching experience. And to me, and you can talk on this, like the best teams that David and I were on were the teams that were the closest. And I think that's the one thing we see from you guys week in and week out. Obviously, you're going to battle through this adversity of last week. You're moving on to the Ravens game. Talk about what you've seen from him, because you have the perspective of playing for the last three coaches here.
Yeah, I can honestly say, like, you guys understand, like, whenever it starts from OTAs, man, like, when you got your, your captains and, a lot of people there during the OTAs and building that relationship. We talked about history when it comes down to how people got involved to the game, their heartbreaks, everything like that. And then it just makes you want to play harder for the person next to you. You know what I mean? And then we put in a lot of hard work when it came down to training camp. And then in season, man, like DBs on our off day, we're eating Chick-fil-A and still watching film. You know what I mean? So we find ways to still spend time with each other. We check in on each other. I would say events and everything when it comes down to people doing things off the field. Like we're putting it in the group chat, letting people know, hey, if you want to come to this event, I'm hosting this. And, it's way more than just a situation of on the field. You know what I mean? So we built that relationship and we're very tight when it comes to that. And I feel as though it helps us out when it comes down to the communication on the field and then trusting the person that's next to you.
Yeah, you can see it, dude. Yeah. It's awesome to watch.
Yeah, that's always the closest teams are usually the best teams, and when people care about each other, it translates to the field a lot of times. Last thing before you get out of here, Marcus, we appreciate your time. You do a lot in the community. You kind of mentioned some of it earlier. You're very involved in the community, helping kids. Talk a little bit about what you're doing, and what's important to you.
Yeah, I would say when it comes down to, the camera stuff and everything right now, that's been something that I've been trying to dial into. The kids with Suffolk, man, it's been great. I've learned of how they got involved into I would say cinematography and how they're trying to learn. Their main thing was documentary, and now they're putting the documentary / the sports involved. So they're touching different realms that they never touched before. And what I love to do is see the smiles on their faces. That's the main thing. And they're eager to learn, and you could tell whenever they do get older, they'll still have that eagerness to learn different things that's out of their comfort zone. And being able to have the relationships that I have and pass it down forward to them, whether it's some of the mentors that I have to talk to them. So however I can help, I'm definitely down for it. So it's been great spending time with the kids, I would definitely say.
Well, look, brother, we appreciate you. Thank you for taking the time on your off day. Big week this week. I'm excited for y'all. I know as a player, you can't wait for Sunday to come soon enough after, what happened this week. So proud of y'all, man. Keep it going. And we look forward to watching you on Sunday, man.
Yep. Thanks, Marcus. Appreciate you, bro.
For sure. Thank you, guys.
Good luck Sunday.
All right. That was a great interview with Marcus. We appreciate him taking the time. I love having Marcus on this football team. He does so much from the team, from the defense to special teams. And look, he talked about it's a big week coming up. And now it's time for our FW Web Solution of the Week. The team at FW Web delivers the right solutions for the pros, when and where they need them. Here's the solution we think the Patriots should put in place for next week against the Ravens. Look, I'll start it off, Hoy. Goes back discipline, right? We talked about some of the execution, right? Whatever you want to say, discipline, competitive stamina, right? You didn't give anything to Buffalo in the terms of turnovers, but the penalties had a lot of big effect on the game, right? We talked about the pass rush. You talked about some of the offensive execution. Yeah. And look, I think as a player, I would be excited this week to go play the Ravens.
Yeah. Sunday Night Football, prime time.
Sunday Night Football, prime time. And look, some of those things I talked about, right? This is a team with that, a good running running attack, right? You know, a quarterback that's mobile that you have to contain, that you got to close the pocket in on. You know, it's all those things you want to go out and prove that you want to do.
Yeah.
Versus a really good football team and a playoff caliber football team. And to me, I always got more confident doing that against a good team versus going out there and beating the brakes off the Jets right now, per se.
Yeah, and I think it's a great opportunity, and it kind of leads, you kind of hit on it, leads into my kind of solution is I'm going to copy and paste from last week. You're going to have to stop the quarterback from running. You're going to have to stop the running back from running, because if Lamar Jackson and King Henry get going, it's going to be a long day for not only the Patriots defense, but the entire team. And so I think it starts with stopping the running game for them. Offensively, you hit on it, be more disciplined when it comes to routes, be more disciplined at finishing blocks. We've seen the explosiveness from this offense this entire season, even saw it last week. So I think it's going to take a complete team win to go down to Baltimore on Sunday night and beat them. Look, they've had a crazy year, right? Lamar's been hurt. The defense was supposed to be good. They lost some guys. They're back now. Like, we just saw our boy Uncle Van Noy, pick the ball off, old man, and
God, he looks slow.
But I think he could have made it. He asked. I kind of hit on his Instagram. I was like, "Good decision," and he's like, "Well, you think I could have made it?" I'm like, "You had a convoy of blockers. I would have hoped you would have been able to make it." He handed it off for like 3 seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, by that time, he would have been another 20 yards down the field. But that defense. They've added some people at the trade deadline, like Draymond Jones. So this is not an easy game by any means. And so I think it's a great opportunity for them to bounce back. But those are the solutions they're going to have to take down to Baltimore with them.
I would say on the discipline side, offensively, you're going to have to be very disciplined against this defense.
Yep.
They're going to throw a lot at you. The pick by Kyle, I don't know. I saw the clip, what we would call – now, it depends, because Kyle's kind of one of these.
Yeah, hybrid.
So he's technically a linebacker. How we would declare it, you're probably going to make him a known rusher. Mm-hmm. But with guys like that, we used to do that stuff with Hightower, which made our defense very hard. Like Van Noy, Hightower, Jamie Collins, those are guys that can drop in coverage. But you don't want your back blocking. You want your O-line blocking them.
Right.
So there's going to be a lot of moving parts this week.
Yep. You talked about with Josh last week. What was one of your favorite parts of the week?
Trying to figure out what you were going to do.
How you going to pick up these pressures? Because that was a pressure against Burrow. He threw it up, but I imagine Van Noy was down by the line of scrimmage. He pops out. It
was like an odd double mug, right? Which you would call.
Yep.
And they ended up dropping him out. They brought it looked like the left guard was going to block Kyle, which we would say would be his rule. But they brought a edge pressure, the D-end, and so the tackle went out to the D-end. The guard didn't go out, or the tackle went out to the edge rusher. The guard didn't go out to the D-end, so the D-end runs free at Burrow. Right. That's what happened. Look, this is the problem the Bengals do. Now you're going to be on the road. It's going to be loud.
Yeah.
You're going to be on silent cadence. You're going to have to force to communicate, right? And this week of practice is going to be huge to handle all this stuff, the multiple fronts, the pressures. So you're going to have to be very disciplined all week in practice and then disciplined on Sunday to get this stuff communicated and to get it executed. Look, like I said earlier, like this team, the Patriots can beat anybody. It's not like I think what happened Sunday, now the season's over. It was not a good game. They did not play well in the second half. But in saying that, you correct a few of those mistakes, sure, it's still probably a close game. And that's what you expect from those. That's how the NFL is.
Yep.
With two caliber, one, good teams and good quarterbacks.
Sure.
So, look, like I said, as a player, I'd be excited for this opportunity this week. To me, primetime football, you come off a loss like that, like you almost don't want to practice because you just want to get to the game. You want to get to the game. Like, let's go play. I got to get this nasty taste out of my mouth. I need to go hit somebody. I'd be wanting to kick somebody's ass on Sunday. So, it's a great opportunity. It's going to be hard. Yep. There's no doubt. This team poses a lot of problems offensively, defensively. Like you said, it's been a weird year for them. So I want to thank our partners at FW Web. On jobs large and small across 16 disciplines, FW Web has the selection, in-stock inventory, expertise, solutions, and people to get the job done right. For more than 150 years, FW Web has been the trusted partners for professionals across the Northeast, delivering what you need, when, and where you need it. Because at FW Web, they believe relationships, trust, and dependable service matter. FW Web, where every customer counts.
So is Milton Williams eligible to come back this week off of IR? Because I know it had to be 4 games. I think it's been 4 games now. It's been almost 5 weeks, if I remember correctly.
We're Googling.
Okay, because I think that would be huge in stopping Derrick Henry. Because the one thing about Derrick Henry is you got to stop him before he gets his legs going. If he gets his legs
come
going,
back till week 17.
Okay, all right. So they're going to have to.
Hopefully Spillane's back.
Yep.
I think for people that don't understand what happened, probably because he was dressed, right?
I was on the field. I watched him over there, but the way he was kind of coming off of warm-ups, I was like, man, it doesn't look like he's moving that well.
He was dressed, and so what will happen, right, is guys will be banged up, right? And you will sometimes do a pregame workout. And you usually can determine in that workout, right? Maybe you're limited most of the week in practice. Mm-hmm. You're not able to get out there. And look, you try to do that so you can be ready to go for Sunday, right? So he probably went out there, and whatever I think it's an ankle maybe or knee.
I think it was an ankle, yeah.
Yeah, whatever he's testing is probably like, look, it's not good enough to go. I can't go.
But it would be odd for you to get to be dressed and then not play.
I know, but that's been
maybe he tweaked it in warm-ups. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. I mean, but I've seen some teams have done that recently.
Yeah.
Where it's like you're our emergency.
Sure, yeah.
So that's probably what had happened with him. I don't know if there's been reports on it, but hopefully he's back this week. That would be huge. But look, like I said, the team shouldn't be down. They should be pissed off. I'd be pissed off. Mm-hmm. Right. The division still this is your division,
right?
You control your business,
and honestly, when you look at it, this is the biggest hurdle, I would say, to get over. You got to go down to Baltimore, beat Baltimore. You're going to play the Jets. They're reeling. You've already beat them. And then the Dolphins are going to come here at the last week of the season. They're out of the playoffs. Hopefully it's snowing and cold, so Drake May can get his win in the weather, and the Dolphins don't want to be here, and you can move on. But you're right. I think this week is a great opportunity to take that anger and put it out there and take it out on the Ravens.
Yeah.
What I'll say I'm worried about, and I'm nervous for this game on Sunday Night Football in Baltimore.
You're like a damn cat.
The Ravens are playing for their football lives. They need to win this football game. They have to win this football game to get in the playoffs.
Even better.
Great.
Makes me nervous.
I want to take people's best shot.
Yep.
I love the one thing I love when we were rolling, right? When we were a good football team, every week felt like the other teams. Like, granted, we played good teams, but no matter what, every other team,
they were gunning for us.
It felt like a Super Bowl for them.
Yep.
Right? You would, and I know this is true, right? Like when you're a bad team and you beat a good team, it just makes you feel good. So
I've been on those bad teams and beat a good team.
So good. Stop being a scared cat.
I'm not saying I'm scared.
You're like the cat. I got a cat like this.
That's a beautiful cat.
Oh, my new cat's sick.
Cat's a beautiful cat.
My new cat's cool. Yeah, cats are nervous.
Just next
need more
week,
dogs.
Need more dogs in here. Bring the cat in and just put it on Danny's lap. See how
Danny, our new cat's sick.
It is. I thought it was a bobcat.
I'm not a cat person, but I love this cat.
I'm not a cat person. That is for
you made your girlfriend get rid of it.
Yeah, we've read in the comments. Keep commenting down there, folks, because I've read the comments like, how selfish can you be? What kind of partner are you?
See how they treat me? It was a mutual parting of the pet.
Joanna, is that true?
I'm nervous
Blink
that
twice if you need
we're gonna have a kid that's allergic to dogs, and I'm gonna have to I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Give that
build
kid
a shed for the
dog.
Yeah, build a shed for the kid outside. No, I'm kidding, people. I'm kidding. It's a joke.
Well, all right, it's going to be a big night down in Baltimore this Sunday night, which leads us to this week's legendary moment presented by Miller Lite. Legendary stories start with the light. Here's to 50 years of Miller time. We're going back 2011. AFC Championship game. This was my first AFC Championship game. Patriots versus Ravens. Sterling Moore, the much unheralded punch out in the goal line. I mean, Flacco threw a ball to their receiver. I think it was Derek Mason.
Yeah.
punches it out before he gets his second foot down, and then that led to a missed field goal by Billy Cundiff. Obviously, we see there Tom going over the top. That was still, there's the Sterling Moore punch out, was incredible. I thought it was a touchdown. Incredible play. There's the missed field goal. So that was my first, celebration on the field, AFC Championship win. There's Chung, Sergio Brown, Devin. That was Devin's second year. There's young Bears.
I was going to say, shout out Bears.
Man, it was like playing the Ravens is always a challenge, right?
Yeah.
It was one of those teams, especially back in the day, Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, that was Flacco when he was young. They were tough to beat, well coached.
Yeah.
John Harbaugh has been there for a long time. So
Is he the longest, or is Tomlin?
I think it's Tomlin and then Harbaugh.
Is it?
I believe. But
now, was this the game? Because I know there's a game versus Baltimore with Suggs. You kind of forgot Suggs in
Suggs
there.
was
Nada.
there, yeah, Nada. Yeah.
Was this a game where Mankins was playing left tackle, or no? Or was that one in Baltimore? Because there was one game I remember watching.
No, because I think Seabass was a left tackle.
Or was it Light?
Well, Light was still here. Yeah, that's right. Seabass was on the right.
Yeah. So maybe it wasn't this game, but there's a game Mankins was playing left tackle, which was cool to see.
No, I mean, I think back to, my rookie year, we played Baltimore in the playoffs, got smoked. Ray Rice took it to house in the first play of the game. It was an ass whooping. So to go back and beat these guys 2 years later in the AFC Championship game, it was a really back and forth game. That punch out by Sterling happened right before a missed field goal. And Billy Cundiff had been a good kicker, and it was completely wide left. I mean, Danny, what were you, like 14 years old back then?
I was 14, 15, yeah.
Yeah. So do you remember this game at all?
Oh, I remember vividly.
Yeah. Remember how bad of a missed kick it was? It was like he missed it by like 40 yards.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
Yeah.
It was great. I mean, I was shocked he missed it, and then we went to the Super Bowl.
Right.
And this was the Super Bowl versus the Giants.
Yeah, the Giants the second one in Indianapolis.
You were there, right, Hoy? Obviously.
I was there, yeah. But David, I mean, maybe you don't have any legendary moments, but I know you've battled against the Ravens before.
Yeah, we played Baltimore. Probably my favorite Baltimore game. 2020. Played them. Well, you were on the team.
Yeah.
2020. It was that night. It was prime time.
Yeah.
No one in the stadium.
No one in the stadium, though.
Prime time. And remember, it was pissing rain.
Yes.
And this was my fifth year.
Yeah.
So me and Bill are starting to have a more relationship, and I'm getting more comfortable with Bill, obviously. And I'll never forget, it was just such a weird year because usually after games, it's chaos. People's families are around, the media, all this stuff. It was one of those weird, everyone just kind of with their mask, shuffling out of the building, going home to do nothing.
It was the strangest year of all time.
But it was a messy year. We ran the ball really well. They had 4 or 5 fumbled snaps.
I do remember that.
And it was kind of a weird moment. I was walking out of the stadium with Bill at the same time, and those are good when you're walking out after a win. It's kind of like what I said, about Monday. It's bad if it's a loss.
Right.
So he's like, hey, good job tonight, which that was also very rare for him to give you compliments. So, and I was like, thanks, coach. And he's like, now you see why we do the shit we do. Right. And he's talking about the weather, right? We were famous for being outside. Even if you were going to Miami, maybe not Miami, but even if you were going to play a dome team in the rain, you were going to be outside.
Year we were going to play Miami late in the year, and he made everyone wear 2 layers.
Sweatshirts. If you didn't have, and guys were trying to cheat it wearing light sweatshirts. No. He made, the Stick or whoever it was go get
thick sweatshirts.
But, we did a lot outside, and it was for moments like that. And so he was like, now you see why we do. He's like, look, I don't want to stand out in the rain either, but we have to do it. And I was kind of like, you're right, coach. Yeah. I understood it. That was a cool game. I think we also played them in 16. They weren't very good. That was kind of the Lamar, I think, Flacco.
The beginning of
Yeah, so they weren't great, but, they had a good D-line. That was Mosley, Lawrence Guy. Suggs was still out there, which was really cool for me.
I bet.
And he was like, dude, that dude's football knowledge, I'm sure Ray Lewis was the same way. Kuechly was like that, but this dude, you couldn't make your calls because he knew everything. Because he competed against them so much. Yeah. But I mean, it was
I have a funny story.
It's a great organization, and it's a great opportunity for this team this week.
This is not a legendary moment, but a funny story. So my rookie year was the first year the NFL was going to wear the pink cleats for
breast cancer
awareness, right? So the game we're playing to wear those cleats is against the Ravens. It's my rookie year, and the only extra pair of cleats they had left over for me were like size 12, and I'm like a legit 13 and a half. And I was like,
so 14's better.
Yes. So I'm like, backup quarterback, like I want to make sure like I'm supporting the cause, I'm wearing the cleats, and we're playing and we're driving the ball, and Tom goes for a run on a third down play, slides, doesn't get it. So we go to kick a field goal, and he runs straight off the field into the tunnel, into the locker room. And I was like, oh my God, I have cleats. My feet are killing me. I'm looking across. It's Ed Reed. It's Terrell Suggs. It's Ray Lewis. It's not like all of these guys. And here I am, my dumbass is wearing these cleats that don't fit. And his leg brace had broke while he slid. So I guess he went in to try to do it to fix it, but didn't tell anyone. And so Bill O'Brien's like, dude, you better get ready. Like, I don't know what happened. We don't know, is he hurt? And so I'm like getting loose on the sideline. And as they're punting the ball back to us, he runs out of that little side tunnel and directly onto the field. And I was like, that could have went terribly wrong for me.
Looked like Phillip Rivers out there dropping back.
I would have been falling all over the place with the wrong size shoe. But that was one of my first memories of playing against the Ravens.
It's a great organization. It's got all the makings of a primetime game this week. So
yeah, looking forward to it.
Sunday night, it'll be a legendary moment next year.
All right, I'll cover it.
And I'll have 17 Miller Lights.
All right.
You only can drink 8, though.
I only had 8 Saturday.
That's what you said. It was Sunday, too, buddy.
Sunday.
Yeah.
Go Pats.
All right, go Pats. Miller Lite isn't just any light beer, it's the original light beer. And when Miller Lite arrived 50 years ago, time became Miller time, and fun nights became stories worth telling. Miller Lite celebrating 5 decades of legendary moments, because legendary stories start with the light.
All right, Danny, you want to get into Around the League here a little bit?
Yeah, Around the League. I kind of want to start with the Ravens game and the Bengals game that was happened last week, and I want to talk about Joe Burrow. All his comments feel weird to me right now about not being into it, not having fun. It makes me nervous. What do you guys think?
I think Joe Burrow's very calculated in the things that he says. I think he's a smart guy. He's a son of a coach. He knows how to work what he's doing, and I think there may be the beginnings of trying to orchestrate a Matthew Stafford type trade. Now, part of me understands, but part of me also says, well, they went and signed Jamar Chase for you. They signed T. Higgins for you. Like, I get it. They haven't really gotten much defensive help, but it's hard to pay defensive players when you're paying all that money. So part of me is like, well, hold on. You last year at this time said, don't worry, they're both going to be here. Well, they're both there. And my only thing with Burrow as opposed to Stafford is this guy's had multiple big injuries where he's missed a lot of time. Stafford was injured at times, but not like this. And so I think there's people trying to draw comparisons to maybe like the Andrew Luck situation. Now, I will say this, and this is pretty widely known around the league, and I also do SiriusXM with Solomon Wilcots, who's there in Cincinnati. He covers the team. He played there. This is not one of those organizations that's always doing what's best for the players and trying to help them win, whether it's facilities, food. I mean, the main storyline from their game this past week is how they didn't shovel off the snow for the fans and the seats, and that's like a league rule. And I kind of laugh because what do we see in Buffalo when there's a snowstorm? Like the community comes, they pay them to and give them hot chocolate to shovel the snow out of the stadium. So it could be one of those things where he just sees that maybe they don't have the level of commitment that he's looking for. But I would also argue, well, they kept your 2 top receivers, so it's got to go a little bit both ways.
Yeah, it is. I think every player, especially elite players, reach a point in their career where they're like, there's got to be something better than this. And sometimes the grass is greener. For Matthew Stafford, the grass was greener. And I would argue for Jared Goff, the grass was great. Like, that was the wildest thing. It both worked out really well.
Very rarely does a trade work out so well for both teams.
Yeah. Like, usually it's kind of like one team's getting shafted or you're getting the draft picks. Like, it worked out. So,
and not to mention, they get Goff, but the picks that they got, Gibbs,
Yeah.
Williams, and Laporta were like the three guys they got off of the picks of that.
Yeah.
I mean, and Stafford went and won a Super Bowl, and he's playing like an MVP candidate right now. So
Yeah, I mean, so I'm sure. Look, like you said, it's one of those weird ones because they did try to get the receivers, but there's also a lot of stories I've heard them about Cincinnati.
Yeah.
So it's
and he's got to stay healthy. Like some of it's unfortunate. but
some of it's on him. Like,
Yeah.
can he control it? I don't know. Like, it just is what it is.
Yep.
All right. Well, next game here, something that Pats fans are happy to see is no Chiefs in the playoffs. Chargers beat the Chiefs, but it's kind of on a sad note because Patrick Mahomes tore his ACL. But some stats before you guys dive in. This is the first time there's been no Brady, Mahomes, or Peyton Manning in the playoffs since 1998.
It's wild.
It's almost, 30 years?
That's crazy.
23 years or 27 years?
Close.
Keep going.
Close.
Hold on, why?
99?
98.
Yeah, so 2028 would be 30 years.
So it'd be 27 years.
Yeah, 27.
There you go.
That's what I said.
Yeah, all right, you win.
I thought you said 30.
I said it's almost been 30, and then I
okay.
started
All right,
doing
you're
math.
Well, and then the other stat is just this is the first time in the AFC Championship that there'll be no Tom Brady, no Patrick Mahomes since 2010.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Do you know who was in that AFC Championship before that?
Hold on, let me think. 2010, Roethlisberger, and it's like someone random, I think.
It's pretty random.
Hold on. Roethlisberger.
Sanchez.
And Sanchez.
Yeah.
Oh, that's when
They
the
smoked
Jets
us.
in like
They whooped
first
our
round.
ass. That was the second round. We had to
Second
bye.
round. Oh, divisional
And
round.
we got whoops.
Yeah, but the Chargers beat the Chiefs. Chiefs are out of the playoffs.
One story about that in 2010.
Yeah.
Bill dog cussed the team like when we were playing about the
that
two,
game.
and I was like, no, like there's only like three. Who are you
guys
yelling
left.
at? Tom,
Yeah,
Gronk,
Slater.
and McCourty and Slater. Like, who are you yelling at?
That was bad, dude. That was a bad night.
There's also like a wild stat too. I saw like Mahomes is going for his fourth Super Bowl. Tom was going for his fourth Super Bowl. They both tore their ACLs in
yeah,
year
but
9.
Tom played like 18 plays.
Yeah, I know.
But like people are trying to make that correlation, like, oh,
Interesting.
he still can't. Like
I think
Mahomes
it's
played the whole.
interesting, David.
Mahomes played the whole
It's
season
kind
before
of like
that happened.
how their career path is. Look, also in this game, did you guys see that Jefferson hit?
Jefferson,
The safety who hit, I think he hit Taquan.
No, Rashee Rice I saw got blown up.
Well, I think he got thrown out of the game.
I didn't see that.
It was a wild, the hit, like some of these, I don't know, man. Like, I'm all for protecting players and player safety, but I just, even going back to that PI, like, you're putting some defenders. I think you're putting the defenders in a tough spot. You're putting the refs at tough spots to try to make some of these calls.
Well, Tom has talked about it, right? As a quarterback, it's your responsibility to protect yourself, but also protect your receivers, right?
I just watched it. He never lost. He left his feet. Hit him with his head up. Like, it's wild. You know, I don't know what the answer and solution is to some of these things. Look, it's a violent physical game, and that's what it is.
Well, the Jaguars are a sneaky 10-4. They dominated the Jets on Sunday.
Did you say they're frisky?
Yeah, they're frisky.
Frisky. Okay.
They're frisky. I mean, Trevor Lawrence had 5 touchdowns. I think
he did.
Liam Cohen has that offense kind of humming now. I don't think they're. To your point earlier, Hoyer, I'd like to play them in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe they don't get as much love as maybe some of the other teams have. So I haven't really sat down and watched them per se. I will say the trade for Jacoby Myers is probably huge for them. He's gone over there and performed really well. He's kind of become a go-to guy for Trevor Lawrence, and we'll see. I mean, look, they could happen. We end up
They
playing
don't
them.
play the Texans, right? They've already
Again, I think they've already played them twice.
Yeah, they're 1-1, right? They split the series.
I'll look it up.
We got to talk about Grandpa.
But yeah, he's on the list. But
All right.
go ahead, talk about Grandpa while I find them.
Who's
Grandpa Phil.
Oh.
Philip. Did you see the one drop where he just like slipped? Oh my God! But I love what he said after the game.
After like what he said after the game,
You know,
was
I
like,
hope my
what a-
son and all the boys I coach said, well, at least Coach wasn't scared. Like, at least he got out
like-
there and
like, hats off to him, man. Like, you know, and I think that's the only position maybe other than kicker that you could go do something like that.
Yeah.
You know, I think any other position would be hard to take 5 years off.
could have been any worse to wear the all-white uniform, too.
All white's tough. It's a tough look.
But yeah, my hat's off to him, dude. And he was up there changing protections. He was up there audible in plays.
What do you think about? Now, granted, I think it is a different situation because he probably knows that offense better than Steichen does. You know, I mean, they were together in San Diego or LA, whatever you want to say.
San Diego then, yeah.
You know, and so, you know, to me, it would be like Tom coming back to Josh's house. You know what I mean? Like, you don't. But do you think there is a sad part of where the league is that's what's happening?
So this has been talked about and people ask me about it.
Someone thinks that's the best solution.
I think, obviously the news was broke to us live while we were recording last Tuesday to Danny, and I was really shocked. But then the more you think about it, right, their playoff hopes are on the line. You have a guy who communicates with the head coach twice a week. They're talking twice a week about football, about him coaching plays, getting ideas, and a guy who ended his career with that organization. So familiarity with the coach, familiarity with the organization, probably some of the players that are there. And with your life on the line, are you going to put it in the hands of a rookie who hasn't had any chance to develop, who you could give it to Phillip and say, just don't lose the game for us? I mean, we saw the rookie undrafted guy from Minnesota go out to Seattle and throw 4 picks and just completely, you have no chance to win the game. And so I think Phillip, and it came down to a game-winning field goal by Seattle, put them in a position to win. I don't know if Riley Leonard could have done that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else you have coming, Danny. One thing I thought was interesting. Did you guys see J.J. McCarthy do the gritty on the touchdown?
And I read.
Did you hear about this?
Yeah, KOC did not want him. He
mentioned in practice, like, don't do that. Look,
yeah, and he hasn't had this year.
Weird.
JJ's was?
Yeah.
What do you say?
Like, yeah, I know I got to stop doing that, but that's my energy. That's my type of. It's like
9. It was 9 showing up.
That was 9. Like,
yeah, that to me is just like.
You got to be established a little bit before you start doing these things.
If Bill Belichick was still our making decisions during last year's NFL draft, I think J.J. McCarthy would be the Patriot.
Yeah, he did not like Drake May.
Yeah, so we dodged a bullet.
Which is funny because I over the weekend I ran into Albert Breer down. Garrett was doing a quarterback session down that way, and his son was playing soccer, and we were just talking, and he had watched Josh on our podcast, and he was just talking he talked to some of the people in around the league and how much Minnesota and New York wanted to trade up to get Drake May because of how impressive he was in the pre-draft process. His senior year was not great, and there was a lot of bad play. And they said, going through that interview process, not once did he throw a teammate under the bus. He took accountability, and we've seen that from him from when he took over last year. I think that's, to me, the playing has been amazing, but his presence and accountability as a young person has been, to me, probably one of the most standout things about him since he got here.
I would look at him last year and forget that he was 22 years old.
Right.
Yep.
Last thing here.
Until we went to dinner one time and he was like, I don't know what that is, and I was like, just eat it, buddy.
Last around the league I had, we kind of talked about the Texans. They're very good. They blew out the Cardinals. But Matthew Stafford is probably the MVP.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think.
Look, I'll say this. At halftime of the Patriots game, 2 rushing touchdowns, going to beat the Bills. I was like, this is going to seal the deal. And then the second half happened, and then Stafford balled out in a huge game against the Lions. It would take a lot. And you know who's creeping back up into the consideration? Josh Allen.
Yeah.
At least if you look at the odds, he's 3rd in the odds right now.
Is Drake still second? Or
Drake's still second, but I think Stafford's favored by a lot.
Yeah, he is. He's minus 300, which
now,
you don't know what that means.
Devontae Adams did pull his hamstring in the game.
Is that what it came out to be?
He was running a deep route.
Not ruled out for Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, but he had been dealing with it before. Who are they playing on Thursday?
The Seahawks.
Oh, shit.
I mean, look, I'm still Puka got hurt. When was that?
Yeah, he's back. Puka's dude, he's so good.
He's a beast.
I know he got banged. I don't know when that was, but look, if I'm the Rams and I know what I'm projected to be,
and
I still have a Puka Nacua, Like, I'm not putting Devontae Adams out there.
They've been using 13 personnel, probably more than anyone in the league. Sean McVay's done a tremendous job. And, you talk about Puka. I was watching the game, and Brady was doing a great job calling the game. And they were asking about Puka, and he goes, this is going to maybe surprise some people, because they were asking, like, who would you compare him to? He's like Larry Fitzgerald. And when he said that, I was like, oh.
I could see that.
That's because he could do the deep stuff. Yeah. He could do the intermediate stuff. He does the dirty work in the run game. He blocks guys. Like, it was a great comparison.
Yeah, so, I mean, if I'm them, I'm not rushing Devontae Adams to a Thursday night game, even if he wants to.
They've pretty much locked up that number 1 seed, right, Danny?
I mean, they're close. They're 11-3. The Seahawks are also 11-3. So
maybe not. They have to win.
Thursday night football, whoever wins is the 1 seed.
Wow, that's great. You like the Thursday night football game this late in the year to be like meaningful?
Yeah, like playoff.
Like last night, did you watch one snap of the game?
No.
So bad.
Yeah.
Dolphins just 0-7. Mike McDaniel's 0-7 when it's under 40 degrees. I bet on the Steelers. That was the easiest bet of my entire life.
There you go.
I'll teach you how to gamble.
How much did you put on it though?
$15.
So what'd that win you?
$30.
Okay.
Win 15, so total.
That'll get you lunch at Press after this.
Yeah, that's my unit. I don't have that quarterback money. Before we go, we got one more question. We got a fan question. Keep responding to David's tweets every week. I love that. This might be the best Twitter account I've ever seen. Ernie Adams Family at PatsFan 2002. Great name. But how do I explain to my wife it's not just a game?
Ernie Adams Family.
Good luck.
That's a great tweet.
It is a great tweet.
It is. I think it's different for us because it was more than just a game. I mean, it's how we paid the bills. I don't know. This is a hard one, man.
Give it like a hype speech about like football and the meaning of football, and it's not just a game.
It is just a game.
Now that I'm done playing, I look at it.
I will say this. Like, I understand now, like, my life revolved around football. Like, my wife's, anybody that was associated with me inadvertently in my household, their life revolved around football, revolved around my schedule. There were certain things I couldn't do. You know how it is. And it was probably a lot different for you because your kids are older than mine. My kids have been younger.
Yeah.
But I understand it now. Like, I understand it, especially the way the team's playing. Like, again, you don't want to not miss a game.
Yeah, I would say, maybe we're not fans, but we have a lot invested in this because of what we're doing covering. And so it is more than a game. And so when I'm sitting there watching the game, like, I want them to win. Yeah. Because it's more fun to come and sit here with you on Tuesdays and talk about it.
I would say this, too. Like, I have very anxious energy at times. That's why
You're a cat.
Huh?
You're a cat.
You're a little cat.
No, I'm not nervous. Like, it's like I projectile vomit.
Yeah.
Cats do that.
Huh?
Like a hairball.
The hairball.
Yeah, but it ain't a hair. Like, it's like I'm going to play a game, Danny. I'm not producer
John
Danny.
One of the grossest things of my career was walking by David Andrews, Ted Karras, and Joe.
Yeah, Joe.
These guys would basically, one would get rolling of the gagging and like what you saw.
It was like mating calls.
And then it would be like, I gotta go. And then like they would just follow each other and puke in the bathroom, in the locker room.
A lot of times,
game.
I hated going in the bathroom, especially in full pads, because then you're trying to fit in the stall. I just like the big like barrel trash cans that you put keg beer in, because then you could get a good brace on that trash can and just really get in there. But yeah, so like I'll be like, I'm not playing. I have no reason. Like, it doesn't affect me if they win or lose. Yep. Like, but like I bite my nails. I'm biting my nails watching the game because I'm anxious about it. Like, so I get it. Were you less
happy yesterday? Like, my Monday sucked.
No, my Monday was totally normal.
Mine, I had a bad day. David?
No. I didn't think about it once other than when I was watching the film and writing the notes down.
I didn't think about it once. You texted me
right, but I'm texting you the notes about what it is. I'm not emotional about it. You're emotional.
I might release these to the world.
Yeah, you made me emotional because of your dumb take of the team that you love so much you thought was complacent.
I was very frustrated on Monday. I'll say that. I was frustrated because I felt like...
It didn't affect your life, though.
No, it didn't affect my... But it does because I had to talk about it on Monday on the Sports Hub. So, I get it. But you gotta... I think it's a weird position as a player to the fans because in our mind, like it's over with.
Yeah, you got to move on.
I'm not thinking. I haven't been thinking about that game on Sunday. Probably Monday at whatever. I don't know what their schedule is. When we walked out of there at 5:00 on Monday, Sunday was gone.
I guess the best way to like correlate it to like a person who didn't play professional football is like, you remember when you were a kid and you knew you did something bad and you were just like, let me just get the punishment over with.
You were waiting till Dad got home.
Right. That's after losing a game, especially when you're playing for Bill. That Sunday night and that Monday morning, you're like, can we just get to the team meeting so we can just get this over with and move on?
The worst part after a loss was being in there, right? So just a little update on how we did things. You would have mandatory treatment, right? Yeah. Or injury check, right? If you need to get an MRI or whatever, or got banged up. So the coaches and training staff can get ahead of it. And they can start being like, David's probably not going to be available Wednesday.
Right.
Or Sunday.
Yep.
So that was always the first thing you did. Then you'd have a run and lift, right? That would start at like 10 and 11, and then, you would have some time to eat lunch, finish your lift, and we'd start at 1:00. There was nothing worse than just wandering around that building,
waiting for them,
and seeing coaches and knowing that what was about to come.
And I don't know about you, but for me, and not so much here in New England because I didn't really get to play that much, but in other places, I would go home and watch the coaches tape that night. Win, lose, or draw, you wanted to know going in the next morning, what am I walking into?
Oh, I would usually watch the game all night.
All right, these 4 or 5 plays are probably going to come up.
Well, and I always wanted to have an explanation. There's nothing worse than I do this to my 4-year-old. Why would you do that? And he just stares at you. Nothing pisses you off more, I think, as a parent, right? You're like, just tell me why you would do that, I thought about, I would try to be all right, when they ask me why me and Shaq Mason did not make that block, I have the answer. And I wouldn't.
Not like an excuse.
No, it wasn't
this
bullshit,
is just what
but
happened.
I'm prepared.
Yeah.
So I'm not sitting there like a deer in headlights. Yeah. You move on so much as a player, you have to.
Yeah, because the next game's coming.
And it's coming fast. So I think we still have that mentality.
I think players, in a weird way, if you lose on a Sunday but you play Thursday, it's almost better because it's we just got to move on. There's mistakes, but we're already on Wednesday and it's Sunday night. Yeah. So, all right, pretty good episode. But, a little elf left something for me back here.
Bake miss.
And we know Ann Michael May's got bake miss, but Sarah, our producer, is doing a little bake miss of her own. And so we had last week was the chocolate chip peppermint
Oreo
chocolate chip. And this is a truffle, but not the typical truffle that you were thinking of.
I felt so dumb when I asked my question I asked about this.
This is an Oreo truffle.
Which I asked, where's the truffle? Why doesn't it taste because I thought it was like
truffle. It was the expensive.
Truffle Parmesan fries or something.
So this is an Oreo truffle. So you give the review this week.
Damn good. I need a glass of milk, but
that would be nice.
Is it milk chocolate on the outside there, Sarah?
I'm pushing my mic away because the comments...
Dark chocolate, Sarah says.
Wow, really?
I'm a dark chocolate guy.
Push your mic away.
Give us a rating, 1 through 10.
No, you give me stuff to eat. I'm going to eat it with a microphone. 1 through 10?
Yep.
I would say I'm a huge Oreo guy. I probably give these. I think it's hard because last week just wrecked my world because I said I wasn't a peppermint guy, and I really like those. So now that bumped the rating up on those because it opened my mind to a new dimension. I don't know what I gave those, but I'll give these an 8.7.
I was going to say 8.5.
No.
It's a classic flavor. You got the cream cheese with the Oreo covered in chocolate. You can't go wrong. But my mouth is. I need.
Is cream cheese the most versatile cooking item?
I think it might be.
It goes in so much.
Savory, sweet.
It goes in everything. Casseroles,
on a bagel, cheesecake,
dessert, cheesecake.
There might be some more cooking coming shortly.
All right. A little tease, Danny, for the people.
All right.
Tease.
All right. Well, that's a wrap. Check us out on NBC Sports Boston, 6 p.m. Wednesday night. Anywhere you get your podcasts, YouTube. Check us out. See y'all next week.